Everybody, it's Craig and IC back with your MLB entire card today. Well, we maybe don't cover one of the doubleheaders, but we're going to have 15 games for you in Major League Baseball. And don't forget, if you haven't done so, make sure you like and subscribe. You turn on the notifications for this channel so you don't miss out on all the stuff we're going to be doing here. Not just us. We got tons of other experts here. And this is the time of year when we really ramp it up here. 2-3 weeks away, football starts. And we've got some extra stuff coming, let's just say, down the pike. So make sure you stay tuned. Also, don't forget, if you want to get in on our expert plays, go over to docsports.com/free60. Get a $60 just to try us out if you're a new customer. And then if you're an existing customer, you can just go to the grid and get in on all our plays. I haven't been the hottest the last week, to be honest, but we turned it up. We had a nice day yesterday, hit my top play yesterday, and I look to do another one tonight. I'm going to have a top play in Major League Baseball. I see. What do you think you're going to have as far as top plays? Anything for Tuesday?
Yeah, I mean, we're sitting on a 6-0 run between baseball and WNBA the last 3 days. So
nice.
In fact, it might be 8-0 run if you include a daily prop. So I just haven't gotten a video up. So now we try to break our virginity with our video with you. And it's been a couple days since I got a video up. I have been feeling under the weather, but was able to get back on the saddle with you today. But yeah, I'll probably have a step out of the WNBA for sure tomorrow. We're sitting on a winning season, which is good. Baseball, we're making a run at it now, which is good too. So I might have a step out in the WNBA for sure, and maybe baseball or daily prop since we haven't had a top play in about 4 or 5 days.
All right. Now, also don't forget, if you want to give us a little taste, a little sprinkle, you get in on the YouTube Premium with IC, or Premium Plus. We have 3 levels. Level 1 will get you a free video 5 days a week from Detroit Lenny, plus early access to a lot of our videos, which that's going to come in handy when you start. We're going to be covering all the college basketball or college football and NFL games for the week. We're going to be filming it early in the week, but it won't go actually live until probably like Thursday. So you'll get early access to that and any other videos that are scheduled to go out later in the week to actually get that access. So it will help pay for itself. Level 2 is IC. So you'll get level 1 and level 2 at that $19.99 level. And then level 3, you get the first 2 levels. Plus you get 3 videos, 3 plays in a video from me every day, $49.99. And those are 3 expert plays from some of our Doc Sports experts. So you click the link to buy to get the better deals, because if you use your phone, not the desktop, they do charge you a little upcharge from, I believe it's from Apple and for Google. There's a surcharge, so they pass that on to you. Kind of like tariffs. I shouldn't get everybody involved in the tariff idea. That we might be like controversial, but let's get kicking here. Major League Baseball got an early game. Blue Jays and the Orioles. Blue Jays lost yesterday. This is a doubleheader for today. We're just going to cover the first one. Orioles slight favorite with Morton on the mound at -115, total 8. What do you like in this one?
Yeah, it's interesting because Toronto comes into this game obviously getting shellacked, in sort of back-to-back games right now. Toronto lost 4-11, and they come into this game, which I guess obviously it's a new day as we film this. And Baltimore comes off 3 straight wins, but of course they're the team that are under 500 right now, 10 games under 500. You have Morton on the mound here. I do like the idea of Toronto trying to bounce back, but I do find it fascinating that Toronto is the underdog coming into this game, right? And then you have Morton rolling in here. As he pitched against Toronto this year, he went 3 innings, 7 hits, and 4 runs, and he struggled. It was a bad effort. But then he went 6 innings, 5 hits, and 3 runs, and he beat Cleveland recently. But he's given up at least a hit per inning. And he's also given up 7 walks in his last 2 games and 4 home runs in his last 2 games as well. I don't think this is a game where you can go with Baltimore. I think you either got to take the over or you got to take Toronto possibly here. I'm also surprised that the total sits at 8 in this game because they're expecting Morton to actually pitch somewhat pretty well. And I don't think that's going to happen here. But, of course, Morton does have revenge from his last game too. So you have – it is a difficult game, and I don't know how much value you see in this. But I will tell you this. The fact that the last 2 games for Toronto have been listed at 8.5 and 9.5, and both of them flew over at 15 runs and at 14 runs, I like the fact this total sits at 8. You have Morton here is looking for revenge as well. It kind of makes sense to me. I'm going to take a small lean on the under here as a decent public fade. All right, as we skip the game 2 because we don't know. Plus, I never liked handicapping.
Second games are tough.
I figured out what happened in game one first. Things obviously are going to matter if some team wins 10-0, right, in the first game. Then it's a different handicap at that point. But you got Colorado here against Cleveland. The only similarities between these two teams are they both start with the letter C. You have Colorado coming in as a plus 200 dog, but Colorado has won, 4 of their last 6 games and 6 of their last 10 games. So technically they're a winning team over the last 10 games, which is significant considering they've only had 28 wins and 10 of those wins come recently, which is fascinating. And then they come off of that big win, obviously 8-6 in their last game. Cleveland now losing back-to-back games in 4 of 5. What do you think here with Gordon and Allen on the mound?
I love the over in this game. I just think this one's setting up for another high-scoring game. I know Cleveland doesn't score runs easily, but this Rockies pitching staff can just give up. They can give up runs in bunches. I would not take Cleveland even the -1.5. I don't like Allen. I don't like that Cleveland is under 500, probably going to be sellers. So a lot of these guys are worried. We got two days after today to the trade deadline. So I always worry about that with teams that are about 500 or just under, like Cleveland. So I'm going to take the over 8.5 in this one. I was thinking like 7-5, 7-6 type game, easy over 8.5. I see we go to Detroit, where Detroit finally got a win yesterday against Arizona in the first game of this series. Now we see them with Mize on the mound. You see the Tigers big favorites today, -140, total 8.5. What do you like here?
Yeah, as Detroit faces, you got the Detroit Arizona game. Is that what you're looking at right now?
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, Arizona comes in as a plus 127 dog, right? Obviously, they come off that loss yesterday. They lost 3 in a row. It's kind of a shame. They're actually playing pretty well, and then now they've lost 6 of 7. So now they're 5 games under 500, and obviously losing 6 of 7 makes a role in that. Detroit was losing quite a bit of games in a row, 6 in a row, but they've now won back-to-back games, and they're still 16 games above 500, which goes to show how much of a wide array of success they had early on. You have Brandon Pfaadt here. Rolling in 5 innings, 5 hits, and 2 runs in his last game becomes off of a loss. He's put together about 2 of 3. I would say 3 straight quality starts, frankly. But I do like the fact that he comes off a loss. I do like the fact that Arizona comes off of a loss as well. So that put together, that does kind of make sense for me. I don't fully trust Detroit here. I mean, they did win 5-1. I'm happy for them, but they've had their struggles, obviously. And you have Casey Mize here, who you would think would be a bigger favorite coming into this game. But Mize, went 4 innings, 10 hits, and 4 runs against Pittsburgh. He struggled. He went 3 innings, 6 hits, 600 runs against Seattle. He's had back-to-back losses. He has to bounce back. Right? This is the worst 2 starts he's had all year long combined. One would have to think that he bounces back. The only thing that I don't like is that Pfaadt comes in here having lost his last game, and he's been pretty dominant as well. Prior to that, he had 2 great starts against St. Louis and San Diego, which is impressive. I do like the fact the total sits around 8.5 possibly, but this can go either way, in my opinion. It's a very difficult game, but I just have to go with I understand that Arizona comes off a pair of losses, but I just got to go with Casey Mize, man. Just 2 horrible games in his back-to-back starts. I got to think he bounces back somewhat here. And just to give you perspective, before that start, 10 hits for him that's a season high for him. 10 runs in his last 2 games, that's a season high. This is a guy that dominated Cleveland, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, White Sox, Royals, Cleveland, Rockies. So maybe I'm being a homer here, but I'm going to take sort of a public favorite here in Detroit. All right, moving on here. Tampa Bay hooking up against the Yankees. Yankees coming in as a 2-1 dog. What's interesting, though, is the public is on Tampa Bay, taking the dog prices 180 with Boyle and Fried on the mound. Who do you like?
Yeah, Judge being out it cost them yesterday. I think they're going to struggle to score runs. They really kind of waited on and depended on Judge so much. Now that he's out, it's hard to lay this kind of price with the Yankees. As a handicapper, I would never lay this kind of number. And I don't even like the -1.5 because you're still having to lay juice. I do think the under is a solid play in the first 5 innings. Fried, he had that blister on his finger, so you kind of got to give him a little excuses. A couple 2 and 3 starts back that was flaring up. He looked a little better last time out. I think he'll be even better this time. And Boyle, he's more of a reliever. It's kind of like a bullpen type game, but I think he'll probably go 2.5 to 3 innings. So I think you could probably lean on them the under. It's 4.5. I like it either way. I was thinking like 1-0, 2-1 in the first 5 innings. All right, you got my Reds here. They're hosting in the Dodgers game 2. Dodgers won yesterday. Dodgers -143 with Glasnow on the mound. What do you think? Total 9 in this one as well.
Yeah, I mean, Dodgers obviously nice 5-2 win, and that total was totaled at 9, and that game went under. Cincinnati rolling into this game, having won 4 in a row, but then they lost to the Dodgers, right, 2-5. I got Glasnow and Lodolo here. Glasnow coming in here, he has not pitched against Cincinnati this year. He had 7 innings, 3 hits, and 1 strikeout his last game. He dominated Minnesota. He had 12 strikeouts, which is just fantastic. It's more than his previous 3 games combined. So he's coming off probably his best start of the year, and I can see him maybe having a little bit of a letdown, but maybe he continues to roll here. And then Lodola here coming off 9 innings, 4 hits, and no runs. He's coming off his best start,
Been great.
period.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just a complete game domination against Washington, had 8 strikeouts. He pitched great against Washington, 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, pitched great against Miami. And quite frankly, he's put together about 7 straight quality starts to his credit. So it's fascinating that I do like the fact that the public is on the underdog, which is typically not a good thing. I don't like the fact that the Dodgers come off a win in their last game, but I will tell you this. I love going against pitchers who come off a complete game shutout, and this is an opportunity to do that here, and I'm going to take that with Glasnow and the Dodgers to get it done. Philadelphia hooking against the White Sox. Philly comes in as a 2-1 favorite, minus 200. Luzardo and Cannon on the mound on a total of 8.5. Who do you like?
Yeah, the White Sox won 7 of their last 10 games, believe it or not. And they face Luzardo. He's had a couple rough starts. He's not like usually when you have a minus 195 favorite, like they're dominating. But it's just because the White Sox have been playing better baseball. You can lay -1 or +1.5 in this one, and you get it still about even money. And that's what I'm going to do here. I know the White Sox were bad for a long time, but the last 2 weeks, they've just played better baseball. And I think this team they've found a little something. A lot of these young guys have just seen more, opportunities, and those have started to pay off. I like the White Sox +1.5 in this one. Phillies, not a great starter with Luzardo, and a bullpen has been a mess all year long.
And in your defense, they've covered that +1.5 line in 11 out of the last 12 games.
Yeah. They've just been really good. And people don't realize it because they're, 39 and 68. So when you're 29 games below 500, people think you're terrible. And they are for the year. But recently they've played better. So let's take the +1.5. I see you go to a very good matchup. Best 2 teams in baseball in the National League right now are the Cubs and the Brewers. Both only one game, I think, separates these two. Yesterday they were even. Brewers won first game yesterday. You got a Brewers favorite by -116, total 8.5. What do you like in the game 2 of this series?
Well, Cubs lost 4-8 yesterday, and they had won their back-to-back games before that. Yeah, I mean, that's one reason to maybe look into the Cubs. But then again, the Brewers coming off 2 back-to-back wins. And you know what? The Brewers, my God, man, what a run, right?
Yep.
I mean, it felt like they were dead. And then all of a sudden, boom, they put together, 8 and then 11 straight wins. And then, starting the series off right against the Cubs. And keep in mind, the Cubs are a team that they split once, 1-1, and then they lost 2 of 3. So this is a team that they would love to kind of get after here. The Cubs, of course, come off of a loss. You have Ray and Priester here. Ray, as he has not pitched against Milwaukee this year. I will tell you this: he went 5 innings, 6 hits, and 5 runs in his last game, and he struggled. But he dominated Boston, he dominated Minnesota, dominated St. Louis. He was actually pitching really well until the Royals roughed him up as a -160 favorite. What's interesting about that game is he gave up 3 home runs in that game too, so he could bounce back, right, on a total of 8.5, especially. Priester here, as he hooks up here, he went 4 innings, 6 hits, and 7 runs, and he got rocked by the Cubs his last time out. But now Priester very quietly has won 9 in a row. Okay, he went 7 innings, 6 hits, and 2 runs against Seattle. He was pretty dominant there. 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs against the Dodgers as well. And obviously he's got a little revenge against the Cubs too. But then you also have Ray, who comes off a bad start in his last start too. So both these guys are super motivated. What's interesting is both these guys are motivated, and yet this total sits at 8.5, and yesterday's total was listed at 7.5. If anything, I would have thought that this game is the one that's going to be listed at 7.5, but it is not. Difficult game, but I got to tell you something. The Brewers have something cooking well right now, man, and I'm going to back the Brewers. I think they're just too hot, and I like their bullpen too. All right, Boston hooking up against Minnesota. Boston coming in as a -120 favorite. Giolito. And do you have a Minnesota pitcher here lined up? You want to talk about this?
I don't think it matters, though. I like this game either way.
Okay.
I just think the Red Sox, I had buried them. I want to be hand up. I'm going to be honest. A month and a half ago, I said Boston's going to be big sellers. I thought the Devers, they didn't get a lot back, and they weren't the best offensive team. And then they got really hot. And now I think this team's going to be sellers or be buyers at the deadline. And I think this Boston team, Giolito, has been pretty freaking good recently, and I like him in this spot. I'm going to lay the -1.5 even and get this into that +140, +150 range. I think they win and win big. I think Boston players are like, hey, we're out here to prove we're here to stay. And, management, go ahead and get us some help. They don't need a ton of help, but a couple bullpen arms, maybe a couple depth bats on the bench, I think could help them. Give me the Red Sox -1.5. We're going to really juice this one up. You get your Braves here. Braves and the Royals. Braves are the underdog here with Feed. They did get him in a trade, trying to turn around his struggling season from when he was with the Cardinals. Lugo just signed a big 2-year deal. He's going to be not, a lot of people thought he'd be traded -124 with Lugo in a total of 9.5. What do you like for your Braves today?
Well, I was on the Braves and Strider in this previous game. That was my YouTube premium selection. I was like, well, seeing the Braves juiced up at -160, it's like, obviously it's an automatic take on the Braves. You know what I mean? Because no one's going to take the Braves when they're struggling after losing like 4 or 5 in a row. You have Feed here coming in here. And, the Braves have a soft spot for him. They've known him a lot when he was with Washington, and then he went with St. Louis. And I think they see some value here. Obviously, he's lost 3 in a row coming in, and he just lost, he just pitched against Atlanta on July 12th, and now he's with Atlanta on July 29th. He is a guy who comes into this game, 3 innings, 7 hits, and 6 runs. In his last game, he struggled. 4 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs. But I've always thought pitchers have a tendency to pitch well when they're with their new ball club. And I think that's probably the situation here, which is why a pitcher that has well over a 5 ERA and with the Braves winning 10-7 yesterday is relatively a small dog, only a small dog coming in. I do find it interesting the total sits at 9.5 in this game. That's a pretty high total. But I think a lot of these games between Atlanta and Kansas City is just going to be like that. I think you got Lugo here coming in here. He has not, pitched against the Braves this year. 6 innings, 4 hits, and 2 runs. I like the fact that he comes off a dominant performance. Whenever Lugo pitches like 4 hits and has a dominant performance, he has a tendency to have a letdown. I can see him having a sort of a letdown here. You either got to, in my opinion, you got to take the Braves here, believe it or not, or with the new pitcher, or you got to take the over in this game. And, with Kansas City coming off 7 runs in their last game, the last game was totaled at 9.5 too. You either got to take the Braves or you got to take the over. And I kind of don't want to even mess with the total here. I just want to go with the Braves as an underdog. I just want to take the dog price on a shocker here. So I like the Braves. And we have the mighty Miami Marlins, who are fresh off Ichiro Suzuki roasting him on the Hall of Fame speech, and facing the St. Louis Cardinals here with Alcantara with a cool 6.66 ERA against Sonny Gray here with the 4.34 ERA. Who do you like?
Alcantara's been absolutely garbage. I know he just allowed 0 earned runs the last time out, but before that was 4, 6, 5, and 7. So a lot of people thought he would be the big prize at the trade deadline. I don't know if they can trade him because I don't know if he has any value because he hasn't had that season that people thought he was going to have. So would you be willing to sell low? Because that's what you'd be doing now. I would definitely wait on this one, by the way, because he could be a guy that gets traded tomorrow. So I always wait during trade deadlines when the guy is definitely probably on the trading block. I would take the Cardinals minus the 1.5 here. I just think the Cardinals, they are at an absolute must win. They're 2 games above 500, but there's a lot of teams in front of them, including every team in the division except the Pirates. So there's a lot to have to hop to get into the playoffs. I'm not sure if they go and lose today and tomorrow that they'll be buyers. Give me the Cardinals minus 1.5 in a kind of a must-win spot. I see you're going to have a Nationals team that 18 goes below 500, facing a good Houston team. Alexander on the mound tonight, probably their weakest pitcher in my opinion of the Astros, but he still gets a lot of run support, so he's got some wins. Astros minus 140, total 8.5. What do you like here?
Yeah, Washington comes off 3 straight wins. Nice 2-1 win as a solid plus 216 dog yesterday. Houston comes into this game obviously playoff bound again, but they have lost 5 in a row at this point. Getting swept by the A's is probably not a good thing, which is random. Imagine if somebody was playing a Martingale system there. That's going to hurt. And you have Soroka and Alexander here, like you were saying. Soroka hooks up against Alexander here. Soroka has not pitched against Houston this year. 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 run his last game in Cincinnati. He has lost a cool 7 games in a row, but most of those starts were pretty good. 1 run against San Diego, 1 run against Cincinnati, 2 runs against St. Louis. I mean, one bad start against Boston, but those are pretty good. He hasn't given up a home run in his last, 6 starts, so that's something to like too. And that's why he's only a plus 126 dog. And then you have Alexander who rolls in here. Fascinating because he's only pitched 7 times, but guess what? 4 of those times were against the Athletics. So, he had 6 innings, 11 hits, and 5 runs in his last game against the A's, and he struggled. Prior to that, he had 2 good starts. So he is on the bounce back here. But I got to tell you something. There's something about I like this kid Soroka. You know what I mean? He's just pitching really well right now, and Houston's really struggling too. And Houston already won as a plus 216 dog, and now they're facing kind of a young pitcher in Alexander. Dude, I can easily see Washington winning as a dog here on the road, and Alexander getting rocked a little bit. I'm going to take another shocker here and take Washington. All right, as we are on the home stretch here with four games to go, Texas facing the mighty Angels here with Corbin and Kikuchi on the mound with a total of 8.5. Angels coming in as the favorite as a minus 118. Who do you like, Craig?
Well, one of my favorite angles the last 2 years was fading Patrick Corbin starts, and I did very well with it, including I think it was my 7 and 8 unit top plays the last 2 months of last season against Corbin. You would lose a lot of money if you bet against Corbin this year. He's been great. 3.81 ERA. It's not like he has a handful of starts. We're late in July, and we're seeing this guy. I've just, he's just been pretty good. Now, Kikuchi has been great, 3.25 ERA, but I got to take Texas at a plus 107. They're 9-1 their last 10 games, and this is an Angels team that's going to be sellers. They're 4 games below 500, so wouldn't doubt if you see some of the Angels guys even maybe held out of this game and next game because, you don't want to hurt, get someone hurt that you're going to have to trade and ruin a trade. So I'm going to take the Rangers plus the 107. All right, the Padres and Mets are playing right now. I do think the Padres are up 6-5 in the top of the 8th. It's basically a pick 'em game. San Diego minus 104, total 8.5 here. What do you like, Mets and Padres here, I see?
Yeah, and before we get to that game, I just want to let the people know that those are wondering what Kikuchi means. It means chrysanthemum pond in Japanese. As we move on to the Mets and the Padres, the Mets have sit here and they have won 6 in a row. By the way, that's actually true. The Mets have won 6 in a row here, and they swept the Giants. And so they feel pretty good about themselves coming in. 18 games above 500. It's interesting. A team that plays well, then they suck, and then they play well. It's kind of like the pendulum that kind of goes back and forth. As you're talking about, the Mets are down in this game, which will be interesting what happens. San Diego comes off back-to-back wins. They're 8 games above 500, but they can be a little sketchy sometimes too. But then you have Manea here. Do you have a pitcher for the Padres listed here? I don't have a pitcher for the Padres.
I do not see a pitcher listed, no.
Okay, well, regardless, Manea comes in 5 innings, 2 hits, and 1 run. He's had he's had 3 starts. He's given up 1 run in each of his 3 starts. I will tell you this. If the Padres win this game, I definitely like the Mets in the next game. Okay? So my lean will be on the Mets, contingent that the Padres win this game. Moving on to the Pirates, who are going to be in San Francisco with Falter and Verlander here on a total of 8. Pittsburgh comes in as a plus 139 dog on the road. Who do you like?
Yeah, Pittsburgh just finished up 6-5 win. I believe 6-5. Yes, 6-5 win in game 1. I will say this. The Pirates pitching staff starters have not been terrible. So to be as bad record-wise as you are kind of speaks something, because usually when you say that, you have Paul Skeens, probably the best pitcher in the National League, top 2 or 3 for sure. Then you start going down. And it's like, once again today, you see a pitcher in Falter with a 3.83 ERA, and you're facing Verlander. That's, what is his first win in like 12 months or something? It was definitely his first win of the season last time out. No way would I lay that money with Verlander. I'm going to take Pittsburgh. I wish they would have lost yesterday, but they won. We'll take them plus 140 in this one. I just think this is a Verlander that's way past his prime. Seattle, last game, Seattle and A's. Seattle's winning 3-1 in the middle of the 9th. Seattle's been pretty good. They've already made a couple moves, and I think that's shown that some confidence in this Seattle team. Minus 110, total 10.5. What do you like here?
Yeah, and I'm on Seattle for my 4-unit play today. But if you're curious, by the way, Verlander is from the Dutch and Germanic origin, where it means to dominate an opponent with exceptional skill and performance, especially in a way that seems to defy age. As far as Seattle and Athletics here, Seattle up 3-1, like Craig was saying. Evans and Severino here. Seattle comes into this game, trying to. Seattle has not lost back-to-back games except twice since July 9th, which isn't that bad, obviously. But, obviously the A's could bounce back here. The A's had won 4 in a row before possibly losing to this one. And then you have Evans and Severino here. Has Evans pitched against Oakland this year? He hasn't. 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 run against the Angels. He was dominant, but he's given up 6 walks in his last 2 games. It's been a little sketchy there. Quite honestly, he's given up around, in the last, 14 innings, he's given up around 18 hits. You combine the walks, it's 7 walks. I mean, you're talking about 14 innings at about, at about 22 to 23 base runners. So he's been a little sketchy. He's been getting a little lucky. I actually like Oakland to bounce back here a little bit here. Severino comes into this game. He has not pitched against, he pitched against Seattle once, 6 innings, 5 hits, and 4 runs, but he did pick up a win. He comes off nice back-to-back wins against Houston and Cleveland. But he also comes off a season high in strikeouts at 8. So I think, it's one of those things where you want to take Athletics, but notice what the total is in this game. It's 10.5. So I actually think both these guys quite possibly could get rocked in this game. And I just want you to know the last time the total was 10.5 for a Seattle Mariners game, you have to go all the way back to June 20th when they faced the Cubs, and it went over. And the last time the A's had a 10.5 total listed on them, you'd have to go back all the way to June 12th. That game went under, or July 12th. But it just goes to show that one was 17 days and the other one was like almost a month plus back. So I like the over in this game.
There you go. That's all the games for today. So if you haven't done so, make sure you hit that like and subscribe and turn on notifications. If you want to get on our best place, go over to DocSports.com and get in on the leaderboard. Or on the BPAs, and also below the grid there. You can just pick out what you want. We both are going to have MLB plays from our IC is going to have a WNBA play, as always. He's the king of the WNBA. We'll also both have props, so you can get in on all those over there. And, of course, click on the YouTube Premium and Premium Plus. It's $4.99 to get the simple level 1, $19.99 to get IC's level 2. And if you want to get in on the level 3, that gets you all 3 of them for just $49.99. And those prices are per month, so it's not that expensive. So make sure you get in on it. All right, guys, have a great day. We'll be back again next week with another entire card. And then before you know it, we'll be doing the entire card for both college football and NFL. So make sure
every game.
Good luck. We'll see you again tomorrow. Next time.